All right. Welcome to episode 3 of Play PSVR2, the podcast. Let's get our opening
First
joke.
of all, it's actually episode 97. It's one continuous podcast, Alex.
Adam is
Get
stuck in the
your
past.
crap together.
I'm here in the future. If you don't, if you get with me, don't get with my friend. Let's get our opening
with
joke
your
out of
mom.
the way. Oh my goodness. Adam, what do you call carving a pumpkin in September? Premature ejaculantern. Adam, what's your gamer juice today?
I'm excited. I've been holding on to this for 2 weeks. I know it's going to be horrible. It's Mountain Dew Flamin' Hot. Have you heard of this?
I feel like I've seen it, vomited in my mouth, and continued on to buy like Red Bull or something like that.
I mean, there is no way this can be good, right?
I could maybe see a way where it might be good. I probably wouldn't want to drink it ever again, but I could probably stomach it once. Way better than the ranch water I had last time.
The thing is, so 44 grams of sugar. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's going to be like candy. Adam, while you choke that down, I have C4 energy drink. This is Skittles flavored, baby. Skittles flavored, but zero sugar. Not sure how they're pulling that off. I need the energy. I need the flavor. Adam, how's it feeling? Is it spicy?
What is this? It doesn't. It's orange Mountain Dew.
This tastes just like Skittles. This is like I've said it before. Some of these drinks taste like melted Skittles. This doesn't taste like melted Skittles, but it does taste like Skittles. And since it called itself out, I think that makes it better. So I'm not
Dude,
I'm
what
not too
a
disappointed.
scam! Like, there's maybe a little like if a baby, you know how a baby poops, it's not a full turd, it's just like a bunch of goop.
Yeah,
It's
I mean
like
I know.
if they
Yeah,
turned that into a spice, and that's what like, it's not even.
it tastes like baby poop.
No,
Is
it's
this an
in Mountain
analogy?
Dew. It's just
Is
like
this
the baby. It's like maybe if you took a jalapeno and didn't cut it, but just literally grabbed it from the vine, dipped it in a Mountain Dew, and then I drank it.
I feel like this is okay for our high school listeners prepping for the ACT or SATs. This is an analogy for you. You have baby poop colon adult poop, and then colon is the same as flaming hot Mountain Dew colon habanero. Will, you should write that down, study it, get you ready for the SATs.
This is horrible. Like, how could they sell this?
Adam,
Like,
rule number one of Gamer Juice is that you have to finish it on the podcast. So do not welch on me. All right.
well, I bought 2 of them.
You're screwed.
F
You're
me.
screwed.
At least hopefully I don't have to take a bean today. But here's the thing, Alex. We got an exciting video or a podcast because we're talking about new games that are coming out. The PSVR2 hands-on experience we are going to discuss. And then we have a master debater for the folks. We've got a master debater. The first one in the Play PSVR2 era. And it's sure to rub some people the wrong way. And no, we're not talking about pocket pool. What we are talking about is a similar sport, NFL Pro era for the PSVR. So this still PSVR game. And Alex, I know that you aren't as avid of a sports fan as I am, but did you play it was called 2MD, really 2-minute drill for the PSVR? Did you play that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I played it. Pretty good little football game. I'm not going to dive into it, but this is a similar game, but obviously has now had the endorsement of the NFL behind it. Another confusing thing is I can't figure out when it's released or is supposed to release for the PSVR. It released for the Quest 2 2 weeks ago, but I can't find it. On PlayStation Store, it just says to be announced. So
I thought it came out like this week. I was ready to have you review it and tell me that it's great and then me not buy it.
I was gonna play. I was gonna buy it and I couldn't, so I had to look at Quest videos and just get an idea. Obviously, this isn't a review, but just to tell you what to look forward to when it does come out. I have to admit, this looked pretty cool. I am somewhat stingy on sports games and VR just because the resolution isn't there. The move controllers suck. There's a lot going against it. But it's really neat that it is NFL endorsed, meaning all 32 teams in the NFL are there and the actual names of the players are being used. So, for example, like I'm a Cowboys fan, so I can line up and I am the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, the insignia logo. You're in AT&T Stadium. And I look to my right, and there's CD Lamb. And I look to my left and there's Ezekiel Elliott. I can pass the ball. You can do run plays. Obviously, I can't tell you how good the tracking or anything is, but it looks similar to 2 minute drill in terms of like accuracy, and you throw the ball and you can see the spiral. But it's really cool to throw to the players that you watch every week, even though they're kind of fake. They look good, but they don't necessarily look like themselves. It's PSVR. The graphics just aren't there, and VR in general, not just PSVR thing. But it's kind of cool that you have a little wristband and you flip that open like you do in the NFL, and you can read plays and choose plays right there. When you hand the ball off, it's not just like, oh, you ran. Like, you actually have to take the ball and stuff it in like a box. And it's kind of like what they call in football the mesh point. And so you're actually dealing with a mesh point, which is real neat. 2MD football didn't do that. A lot of games don't do that. Madden, you can't really do that because it's not VR, but now you can. So that's really neat.
Adam,
Like
what NFL player would you most like to stuff in the box?
Lamar Jackson, but he's a quarterback, so I would be playing as him.
I mean, you could play football with him later. Adam, here's the thing that happens when I'm reading NFL Pro Era. It just says release date to be determined, but it does indicate that it supports up to 8 online players with PlayStation Plus. And I think this is pretty curious because was 2MD, did that have multiplayer, or was that like a later release for it?
Not that I know of, unless they added it even after I quit playing it.
So what? So you're not really playing. They did add it when I think this says head-to-head edition. Nope, still doesn't look like it's got multiplayer on 2MD. Adam, I don't know what a 2-minute drill is. I don't know what I'm doing in NFL Pro Era. The closest I understand about football, Adam, is NFL Blitz, where you get the ball, you run away from the line of scrimmage, so that all the guys get down there, and then you run a U shape all the way back up to the end zone because you're that really big guy that played for the Indianapolis Colts. You're too fast. They can't stop you. What am I doing? I don't get it.
Well, first of all, I think you're talking about maybe Bo Jackson, who played for the Raiders
No,
back in
this
the
is
NES era. Is that
no,
what
no,
you're
no, no.
talking
This is
about?
N64 era for the Colts. I just remember that's the only team I really followed at all.
Edgerrin
Because
James. I don't know who you're talking about. Anyhow, so a 2 minute drill is essentially like at the end of the game or end of the half. You have 2 minutes left on the clock. You have the ball, and you have to very methodically move down the field, conserve your timeouts. It's much more strategic because you can't throw the ball in the middle of the field where the clock is going to keep running. You can't have negative plays. And it's also where you end up being where they get the quote, quote, your clutch. So if you're clutch, you make the good plays when it counts right there in the 2 minute drill. So it's the easiest thing to replicate for these games to add some sense of importance to the gameplay. And then, I mean, who wants to play a 60-minute VR game of football like that? It's too much. So this is a good way to give you bite-sized portions of real gameplay. And this, yeah, I think it does work well because even in NFL era, they have like schedules and players and stats and things of that nature, play sheets, which 2MD did not have. So it's a more fully fledged out 2MD football, essentially. And again, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Let's be sure there wasn't anything here that I really wanted to talk about, but it looks good. If you like sports, I think this is one you definitely want on your radar if you're a football fan. It's one I was definitely going to purchase because I'm like, it would be really neat to play with the players that you know or face players that you know. And there's not many sports games like this on the VR. And it's one that would be very easy for any of my friends to come visit. And I'll be like, let me hook you up to NFL Pro Era. And then when they suck, I'll make fun of them. And it'll be a good time. It's a good party game too. But the
Adam,
next,
does this? Sorry, I got more questions about this. Does the name Andrew Hawkins mean anything to you?
it does not.
Okay, apparently he played for the NFL for 7 years, and he was the guy who started the company Status Pro, who made NFL Pro Era. So I think that's pretty interesting. Um, my other question is, the thing I like least in VR is throwing stuff. Is there more to just throwing in these kind of games, you think? Or how does the throw like and Is there a way they could make it good? You're a quarterback. That's what you got to do is throw. Is there more to it than trying to throw? Do they correct for you automatically or something?
That I don't know. I'm sure there is some window of uncertainty, of course, but I think some games I feel like you can throw well, and then others is horrible. You're right. So how this game does, I don't know. I wish I knew better. Like Super Hot was one of those that I could never get throwing down on Super
Yeah.
Hot. I don't know why. Real annoying. But then I know there were games where what I wanted to throw went right where it went. I feel 2MD did well.
Mm-hmm.
So that hopefully they learned from them, maybe improved on it. Again, this is why we need PSVR2 because it won't be a problem. Let's move on. We got one more game coming up. What do you think, or what are you thinking about? What is this? Startenders.
Startenders. Although it says it was announced like back in February, though I
Yeah,
just
it got
heard.
delayed.
Okay, got delayed.
It took me a while to find the actual release date, which is September 29th.
Yeah, so like in a couple of days, right?
That's
We're looking at
right.
4 days from the moment of this podcast.
It's $15. Although I'm not gonna lie, Alex, I'm not as excited for this one. So essentially, you're just a bartender, but you're not a realistic bartender. It's like cartoonish, and there are a bunch of different recipes and a bunch of different ingredients, and each ingredient acts differently and responds differently at how you use it. I feel like, I mean, I don't. It just does. It doesn't seem like a game that I feel like would be that fun. Do you see any appeal? And it's not even this particular game. It's this genre of games. This is like what, the third bartender VR game that's on the console, and I don't know why. Who wants to play a video game where you're sitting there making cocktails?
Yeah, I mean, looking at footage, I could have watched reviews because it's out on Oculus or something like
I
that.
didn't want
And
to do that.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to perturb my open-mindedness.
Yeah.
Looking at some footage here, it honestly reminds me a lot of Job Simulator, which is
Yeah.
pretty fun. But Job Simulator has a lot more than like the initial Job Simulator, or maybe it was vacation. Anyway, one of them, you're working in a kitchen. People come up and order, and you do all the stuff to make the order and send it out, and that's great, whatever. And it's a fun way to just do weird interactions. This looks like an entire game built around that one mini game in Job Simulator. Now, granted, Job Simulator was like a $40 game when it came out. This is only 15, so cut Job Simulator in four. You get this game, and honestly, the graphics look pretty nice. I see a bunch of guys just at the bar staring at me, and they got puffed up chests, like they're gonna kick my ass. So I wonder if this is kind of like a mixture of that mini game, but also it's timed, so you're probably like having to like keep up with the orders or something, which can be fun. I don't notice anything about multiplayer. Do you know anything about that?
I do not know.
Yeah, so if there's multiplayer and like maybe you and your friend are like having to make drinks together and put them together and send them out, that might be kind of fun. But this says, yeah, big physical interactions. That's what this is here for. I honestly, this looks like a game that might be fun for my daughter. I'd probably enjoy playing it. Here's where it's going to live or die, I think, is in the writing. If the writing is like fun and I like the things that are being said to me and the things that are happening, like give somebody a drink and they explode or something like that, that's going to be really cool. If it's just like this, maybe not great. I see you're like repairing your equipment too. Like some of this stuff could be good, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. No, like I said, I cannot see a scenario. The one thing I will say, I think they did well. $15, I think, is a good VR game price.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't feel like a lot of money, so it's maybe worth a gamble, but it's not so cheap that makes you think like, oh, it's just one of these experiences, or it doesn't lend itself to immediately sucking just based on the price. So I don't think it's a game I really want to play. If we get a code, or if you want to spend $15, go for it. Maybe your daughter will like it. But you're right. It seems like they expanded upon a mini game that I didn't think was a good idea to begin with. Just doesn't seem interesting. And there is no amount of writing, in my opinion, that would convince me to play Cocktail Waitress for 10 hours.
I'm trying my damnedest to find like the reviews of this, like Metacritic reviews, and I can't. It seems to this game particularly seems to have broken Metacritic, so I have no idea
Wow.
how this game is doing. I saw a brief review that was like 4 out of 5, but there's some of those websites that just give every VR game a 4 out of 5. I
I
think
know that. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I like about us, Alex. We are here for you, the people, and we're going to tell you both good and bad. I'll rip it a new one. I don't freaking care. You think I have feelings? I'll tell the developer to their face, you suck. I told Monkey King, you're garbage. Give me 5 more codes for our fans. And they gave me like 7 more. So
that's the thing, Adam. I love reading the emails you send to the developers after they send us a code, and it's always filled with criticism that I feel like they have no way of handling. But they're always, since it's PR, they're always very polite to you, even though you're polite. But anyways, I digress.
And most of the time, it's not even about the game. I complain about anything. I complain about you half the time. If you really read it, I'm like, my freaking co-host is such a chotch. Why?
What's a chotch?
It's like a douche, like a jerk, a prick.
Feels like you
boner.
wanted to say crotch, but forgot the word for crotch and got it mixed up with something else.
Nope, that's not what it is. Okay, so our next discussion, which I think is going to be an exciting one, Alex, and I am excited to see where your excitement level is. And I don't want to bias you, so I'm going to try to answer second in all my questions and just have an open discussion here, because we have now had reviews for the first PSVR hands-on experiences. So
previews. Yeah.
There were, in general, 4 demos that some of the big names got to go and test. And so today, I think it's just good to talk about the actual hardware itself, and then maybe in later episodes talk about maybe each specific demo or things, just so we got what, 2 months, 3 months before PSVR2 comes out anyhow. So no reason to blow her load into one episode. So did you read any of these, Alex? Or I mean, there were a few outlets that covered it. Are you familiar with what they thought or what they said?
Well, a bit of it, I avoided them because I was upset, because we obviously didn't continue our podcast until recently. So there's no way in hell we'd have a chance to get sent out to try these out. So I'm very disappointed in that, because last time we were on full head of steam on PlayPSVR, we were lined up for E3, and then that got canned. So I was mad about that. Anyways, I did read through this stuff. Here's the downside. Like, I was never one to read previews. They're always kind of fluff pieces. And basically everything was glowing, which great. I'm happy that the previews are glowing. I'm happy that people, word on the street is like, this is a new level of VR. This is going to blow your mind. This is the best. PSVR2 is going to be coming out of the gate as the best headset that you can get. So I'm liking hearing all of that stuff, but like the game specific stuff wasn't too, it didn't tell me too much more than what I already knew, except Horizon Call of the Mountain is on rails like we expected, which sucks. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be fun. Like again, it's going to be a showcase, but it being on rails just seems kind of like, what's the point?
That's last gen. I don't want that. That's why we're going to have Firewall Ultra.
Yeah, they're probably trying to get people in there to play the game, like people who've never played VR before. They got to capture that market again, and they're worried about motion sickness, so they're going to put it on rails. I don't know. Well, I mean, even if I think in hindsight, Blood and Truth was quote unquote on rails, but it felt pretty good. So maybe it's better than I'm expecting it. But I mean, the previews, they were glowing, and I don't know what more I can really ask for from a preview. If people came in and said it felt weird, the controllers didn't work that well, but everybody seemed pretty impressed by all of the features, like the haptics, the controllers. No complaints about the tracking.
There were some things that weren't glowing. So
like what?
We'll get to it. So right off the bat, the PSVR2, first, this is garbage. With a blast of heat and citrus, my butthole, it sucked.
What if it literally was only spicy when it came out your butthole tomorrow?
That would be okay. Next episode, I will, if that's true, I will take back what I just said. Anyhow, so the PSVR2, they're talking about physically, it's very similar. Like you put it on the same way, it still's got the stretchy headband, you still have the knob on the back to tighten it up. And I think that's fine. I never thought that the PSVR was uncomfortable in any way. Did you? Like when you put it on, is there anything with the way it fit on your head you wish they would have changed?
No, and I think that was always like the biggest thing that was a benefit for PSVR is it was, I think it was and might still be like the most comfortable headset. I've got a Quest now, and I had to buy like an extra headset to make it even worth wearing because it's so dang uncomfortable right out of the box. But PSVR,
Wow.
they had a chance to make it more comfortable with the second headset, and they barely changed anything. So no, PSVR was always really comfortable. I do worry if it's going to be heavier since it's got inside out tracking now and how they're going to counterbalance that. But again, since it's wired in, which some people are going to hate, if it makes the headset more comfortable for extended sessions, then great. Did anybody complain about the weight that you read?
Nope. No way. Everyone said it felt pretty comfortable. I mean, pretty much they said it felt just like the first one.
Nice,
So,
nice. And
you know,
that's a win.
yeah,
Even to
yeah. I
this
was like, for
day,
better or worse, like everything else has been improved. So it's kind of weird that like somehow they didn't find a way to make this a little better. But you're right, it wasn't bad to begin with. So I guess why change it if there's nothing wrong with it?
yeah, the thing I can only get so turned on by this headset. I don't know what a preview is going to do for me to turn me on even more. I have high expectations. Of course, they seem to be met. Really, there's like no way to go but down for me. But I'm expecting it to land really good, and we have a long, long wait. I don't know what the point of previews this early out is. Like, give us previews after a release date. So I guess the good news is release date must be coming up soon. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that everybody's happy about it. There's no complaints about how it feels. That's good.
Yeah. And so the first thing they mentioned, and with the PSVR, I don't remember, I don't think this happened. So they were talking about for the of course, it definitely didn't because there's no eye tracking. So for the eye tracking, and there's a thing, ISD, I believe it stood for, essentially like the distance of your eyes. There's a like a built-in calibration system for the
Hmm.
PSVR2, which is kind of nice that one, it's customized for you. So I'm assuming certainly there's going to be different profiles if multiple people are sharing the headset. And then the fact that it's built in, they said it was just very intuitive to follow it and use it. And again, I like the customization of that to be able to immediately do that right off the bat, not take long. And again, it makes me feel like they're doing what they should to provide an immersive and the best experience possible rather than trying to like create some type of system where it's good for everybody and then it's detrimental because it's not as customizable to a certain person. Like I don't know if that does that make any sense? Like I kind of like the fact that yeah, it's per person your ISD and they're actually calibrating that before you begin.
So that, I mean, that seems obvious, right? Like in PlayStation or for PSVR1, I don't think you could calibrate it necessarily. I mean, there was a bit of stuff you could do to calibrate it when you first set it on, but really, I think they just had a range of ISD that worked well. That's the distance, I believe, between people's pupils, right? Their eyes can be separated, and
Mhm.
they have to, get it just right so you get that 3D effect. Here, since they're doing foveated rendering and eye tracking to see where you're looking, I'm not surprised that, I mean, it's cool, but I'm not surprised that they have some method of like seeing your eyes because they're doing eye tracking, foveated rendering. Being able to see it, then they should be able to calibrate based off of your eyes. I do wonder what they're going to do with your lazy eye, though, Adam.
Yeah. No, they're gonna put one lens below, you know. So that was the first thing to notice. The other was that you, I don't really think about the pass through video where you can see like in in the headset, you see your play area where there's obstacles, where you can go and participate in your game session. Just because I don't know. To me, it made sense that when you're playing VR, and maybe I'm lucky where I have like a room dedicated for, I don't have anything around there. So I'm like, well, duh. Like, why do I need that? but someone maybe, you've got kids, maybe you're playing in your living room where there are some coffee tables or a piece of the couch that sticks out farther than the other or something. But people really seem to like that. What do you think's the benefit of it? Do you care? Like, should I care more than I really do?
I think you're going to care more than you really do in practice, because what this is doing is, with PSVR1, it's using the camera to track you for better or worse. It worked pretty well, I think. But that prevents you from moving around too much with your feet, right? You can't move out of the view of the camera. If you do,
Mhm.
some games will give you that like zone that you got to be in, so you can't move around. This way, if you have the room, you can walk around a bit, which is really nice. And some of these other headsets I've played with, it's been really nice too. Instead of having to walk in the game using analog sticks, if I could just take a real physical step forward to grab something, that would be beneficial. So that's good. The other good thing is, I play in my living room, and usually I have space, but I can get turned around pretty easy. And it's nice to get this like reminder when and it sounds like that's happening here too, of, hey, you're close to the edge of your play space. You can define your play space. You're close to the edge. Watch out. You'll trip over the couch. You're close to your TV, stuff like that. I did it with the Oculus when I played Resident Evil 4, and it was super cool to, like, I played in my garage. Super cool to map out my garage and make sure I don't accidentally punch my car. It also frees it up to, you could theoretically have a smaller play space and still get that full effect, because you're being reminded of where things might be, when you're going outside the zone. So if you haven't experienced it, you might not think it's a huge benefit, but this just means it's probably opening up, a bit of room scale movement, which is going to make games a lot more fun to play, I think, especially something like Resident Evil 8, where you might want to get like just a bit closer to a corner, peek around a corner, things like that, without messing up the tracking of the game.
Yeah. So the next things they discuss are resolution. So obviously the resolution is much better. They did mention, and here's where it's not perfect. So they said there was persistence blur when they rotated their head. So when you're rotating, there's a bit of blur there, which again they said, like you said, this is previews, things could change, but that's somewhat, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I guess a fast turn of the head, of course, the system's going to have to catch up and adjust to that fast of a movement and things. But I don't know if I expected a blur. And this is what someone is saying. I can't really. It's all relative, right? What to me may not be a big deal at all. They may be like, "Oh, that's persistence blur. That's not good." So I think I'm gonna have to see it before I can really give it a big downgrade or say I'm disappointed, but it was enough that some of the reviewers actually said that, and they were like, "Yeah, there's some blur when you turn your head." The other thing to jump in and keep pushing us forward is that the head haptics were awesome. So if there was like an event, like a big explosion or something that would like shake the screen in like a 2D game, that kind of does it for you. And I think that is incredible. It's really going to up the immersion. And how many times are you in VR and you have something buzz through your head, or something actually like a soccer ball comes and hits your head? Like in that one game where literally the whole thing is just heading the soccer ball. I forgot. I can't believe I forgot the name of it.
It's called head something.
Yeah. And like you could maybe feel a little jolt or an explosion. So that I think is cool. Any interest for you there?
Um, yeah, I mean, just thinking about it, I never thought about a good use case of the head haptics. Imagine how terrible it would feel to get hit with a headshot in Firewall, and you just feel like a little.
Yeah.
that would that would be very frightening. But
That,
I imagine it's more gentle vibrations or something like that. But that any kind of extra like oomph is going to be really immersive. Again, it's one of those things where like, are they really going to use it? Or imagine some indie developer making a game. Are they going to do it right? And how much testing are they going to have to do to make it work right? I don't know. But I'm happy to see what comes of it. Surely, Call of the Mountain's going to use that really well. Surely Resident Evil is going to use that really well. But what else are people going to do? And how encompassing is it? It's always going to feel like it's coming from the middle. All the video I see seems like it's just got one point that it's vibrating. If it is all around, that would be really nice.
that would be cool if you got shot and you felt like a little thing. That's dope. That's a good, it's cool. So the big thing in my mind of all the reviews that stuck with me, the biggest negative is that when you like in VR, when you grab right now in VR, when you grab something, you have that trigger. Well, apparently to grab something is now like a button, like a binary, like you click it or unclick it. And so if you're grabbing something, I don't know what the button is. You go, you grab, and so it's not a trigger, which to me kind of blows my mind. Like it feels right to pull your fingers as if you're grabbing something, but that's not what it's going to be like here. It doesn't sound like, according to the demos and what people have seen.
So I think that's something that'll probably be toggleable in the games, right? Like, for example,
Oh, you think?
I played some games where you can grab stuff in VR and you do have to like hold down one of the there's more than one trigger on the controller. Hold down one of the triggers or one of the buttons to hold something and keep it held, and then you use the other trigger for like a gun to fire the gun. What's annoying is like, okay, I'm gonna get fatigued. I'm sitting there holding this for hours now, and then using my other finger to fire the gun. Whereas if it were like a real gun or something, I would just have the weight there. I wouldn't be feeling like I have to grip it the whole time. It could be a level of immersion. If you're doing something like sword play and things like that, that could be nice to feel like you're actually holding it. What I hope doesn't happen is that I know there's that like finger sense, right? It can feel if your finger's on the button, even though you're not pressing it. I don't want that to be my method of detecting if I'm holding something or not, because again, you get that fatigue, you forget if you're touching it or not, and that can be kind of flaky, especially if you start sweating or something like that. You get those clammy hands. But I really hope those kind of things are toggleable. It's nice, it's kind of fun to do the first time, but for something long like Resident Evil 8, I don't want to be messing around with that crap. I just want to have the gun equipped, go about my life, and leave my fingers to press other buttons as needed. Not have to worry about like making sure I'm holding it the whole time and accidentally drop it in the middle of a fight because muscles got tired.
Yeah, I still think that's an interesting choice. I hope you're right. I hope it is maybe toggleable, if that's a word.
Toggleable.
Toggleable.
Toglable. Toggleable.
Sure.
To
And
Pokemon.
so then they talk about how tracking worked really well. And because we have the like 6 cameras and 6 degrees of freedom, that you can walk anywhere. So if you turn around, you're fine, which that I really like, because you were mentioning when you have the VR, PSVR, if you turn around, you're screwed. And it's going to give you that annoying error message. It shouldn't do that anymore. So you're going to have to really get outside of your play zone before it really starts having any issue tracking you, which I think is really nice. Imagine super hot if you, because when I got low or when I like jumped high or really moved, I had to be very cognizant of that, and that eliminates some of the immersion factor when I can't do what is native to me and what's instinctual, and now that's not going to be an issue. That I think is awesome, and I think that could play a huge role in the immersion, right?
Yeah, I mean the big thing about that is a lot of these games you have like teleporting and stuff, right? So like even Super Hot had this a bit where you would teleport and you would be pointed for whatever reason in the wrong direction. So to be looking in the right direction, you would have to turn your body to look in that direction, but that would put you outside the tracking zone and you'd have to like go through the process of resetting your tracking. It's like I don't want to fiddle with that, right? I want to land in the right spot where you want me to be and be able to rotate freely as necessary. And it sounds like this is going to work well for you. One question I do have is like my kids play VR, and with the camera, the length of their arms isn't an issue, right? The camera's seeing the move controllers. But what if their arms can't get far enough out in front of the headset to track the controllers for the game? Are they going to be able to play this? Of course. Am I even going to have my kids play PSVR2 when it probably is going to cost $1,000 when it comes out or something like that? But I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe that's a reason I'm going to be keeping PSVR1 around.
And so the final thing are that the controllers, they have the same reactive triggers that the PS5 has, which is awesome. I love them. They're freaking sweet. And then the rumble haptics are in the handles of that controller. But one thing that was disappointing is they said that, again, these are like really early versions of the demos and the games that they tried, but they didn't use them very much, which I really hope, they've got what, 3-4 months to refine those. I really hope that's not the case, because a lot of these games, you have a brand new technology. You're getting rid of the older PSVR so you can have this new wave of technology. And if you don't use them in the games, what's the point of even having them? So I hope that's not the case. That is another fear that I have.
You know what? You know what this all points to that they need. They really need it, and I'll pay so much for this. Returnal in VR for PSVR2. Downgrade the visuals, whatever you got to do to make this happen, because Returnal is a great showcase of those things. The haptics, the sensitive triggers, the adjustable triggers, all those things played perfectly. Put that in VR2 with like dual wielding or something. It's just a recipe for greatness. But I agree. These games aren't using it. There's a good chance a lot of people aren't going to use it. I'm glad that it's there. We'll probably get, like I said, Call of the Mountain's going to use it probably. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know what other game aside from whatever's coming from the Astrobot people is actually going to use this technology. But I'm happy to see it's there. Obviously, people are thinking about it if Sony saw fit to include it, and it's worked really well in the DualSense. To my surprise, I didn't think it was going to be useful this long. It's still useful. It's still great. So I expect great stuff on the PSVR2 front.
Yeah. And that's a big reason why I think I'm going to sell house and home for the PSVR2. Whereas you think that you're just going to keep your PSVR and hope that you find a PSVR2 and that you can afford a PSVR2. And that is what we're debating in the Master Debater coming up in the next segment. Folks, you don't want to miss it.
Welcome to segment 2 of Play PSVR2, the podcast. We are bringing back the savory, the sweet, the delicious Master Debater. Now, the champion is champion emeritus currently. Our buddy Scott is too busy to be a Master Debater regarding Play PSVR2. Of course, he's never going to play PSVR2, and that's okay. We'll bring him back after we can get him in the headset and talk about it more. So this is currently for the interim title. Whoever wins this Master Debater, we'll let you guys decide. Let us know. They will have the debate.
And that was for Play PS5, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So this is a whole new podcast. Alex can't get his podcast straight.
I doubt our listeners can either, so hopefully this consolidates that a bit. Either way, maybe this is good practice ground for me before we let him come on and unify the titles. But Adam, this is a question, right? We just had the big news that, yes, PSVR 2 is not going to, at least initially, at least natively, at least automatically support PSVR1 games, and that makes sense, right? The PSVR1's totally different set of tracking. Really, PSVR1's piggybacking off that PSVR or PS4 backwards compatibility that's inherent to the PS5. So it's not a huge surprise. We probably all saw this coming, but it's still a bummer, right? A lot of us have invested a lot of money into the PSVR ecosystem. We have a ton of games that we want to keep playing. So the Master Debater tonight is we're discussing whether or not we need to even keep the PSVR1. And Adam, what stance are you taking? What's your view on this?
If you couldn't guess, I'm sure everyone, if you know me, it's time to move on. Get rid of the PSVR. I love it, because it's what introduced me to this wild, wonderful ride of virtual reality. But I have been hankering, I have been itching for a fix of updated tech for a long time. I am going to toss this. Actually, I probably can't toss the PSVR out because we have this podcast. But if I didn't have this podcast, I would be selling that VR tomorrow in anticipation of the new technology.
Yeah, and so, of course, I have to counter that, and it's probably predictable. I never let anything go. No. Good reason I have this background here so you can't see all the junk behind me. But I'm the guy that I think I have 3 PSVR 1s in my possession in some form or another. You're the guy who ran over his with a car for some clicks. You still have a headset, right?
Oh, yeah. So that was my old version 1 headset, and now I have the version 2.
Okay, so we're effectively, but not officially, deciding whether or not you need to sell yours. If I can convince you, maybe you'll keep yours around, but it sounds like you're kind of locked and loaded on your stance here. But Adam, why don't you hit me with your first point? We got 3 reasons each, right? 3 reasons why you should or should not keep your PSVR 1 once PSVR 2 is out. Is that the game plan here?
that's a game plan. And my first reasoning here, man, is the PSVR is taking up valuable resources, and that is money and that is space. So, money, the PSVR2, I'm thinking it's got to have a $500 price point, right?
Hmm.
If not, it's going to be very close to that. It's going to be pretty expensive. Most of us, unless we are rich Uncle Pennybags, don't have the money to just walk out and buy this new system along with a PS5, which people still can't get sometimes. And you have to either one, live on a tight budget and save for a while to save up for the money. And part of that is you could be selling this PSVR that I argue you shouldn't keep anyhow, that you aren't going to play anyhow once you have the new tech. And I looked on eBay here, Alex, and I wanted to see a PSVR. Well, how much could I sell it for right now? So the cheapest PSVR, and this is the headset, the breakout box, all that stuff. I'm seeing the cheapest one being sold this month is $108, but it's coming from Japan. All the other ones that are US based are going for 140 or more dollars. And of course, there's a little intermixing because sometimes there's games, sometimes the moves come with them, all this crap. But that is a hefty down payment on a $500 console upgrade. And then, so not only will it help you financially, but then the space. Here's the thing, dude. The headset, imagine this. Imagine having two headsets. I don't think the PSVR 2 is going to have a breakout box, but you're at least going to have the breakout box for a PS1 or PSVR1. And then you got to have the move controllers. Then you're going to have the new fancy controllers. Then you're going to have all of the friggin' cords, and then the charging apparatuses, and then any type of stand or cases you have for those. It's going to take up a lot of space, and most people don't have that much space. And so, like me, I don't. And so I don't even have room for two of them. And then if I do, I can maybe put the PSVR1 in a box and store it in the closet. But when am I going to ever go play it if I have to go through and bring everything out and set everything up? It's not going to happen. Save your resources, get the money while you can, and keep the space to show off the new revolutionary technology.
I mean, here's the thing, Adam, with that argument, and I'll just do a quick counter before I move to my first point. Space is one thing, I get it, but you could fit all that in a simple box and put it aside. The money is not a motivating. Like $100, that's a good chunk of change, right? But it's a drop in the bucket compared to what you're losing versus what you're gaining. It's $100 to lose access to all your PSVR1 games that may or may not get ported, right? There's games we love that nobody else really seemed to play. Those might not get the love and attention to get them ported to PSVR2. So you're effectively receiving $100 to say goodbye to those games forever. That's I don't know, man.
That you probably aren't going to play. So,
well, as somebody who recently really tried to get like a rock band / Guitar Hero setup so I could experience those thrills again, it's very hard to find this hardware when it goes bye-bye. So that's you know what? We'll just go ahead and make my point two, my point one. The PSVR is going to be hard to find. That's my point. Right now it's easy. And maybe it'll be easy until PSVR 2 comes out. People are going to be offloading. They're going to be thinking like Adam, not much forethought, not much intelligence in getting rid of their PSVR 1. But 2 years, 3 years down the road, you want to play To the Top. You want to play Vertigo Home. You want to play Stunt Kite Master VR. For whatever reason, you're not going to be able to do it unless you can find a PSVR 1. You're not going to find good controllers. You're not going to find move controllers again. Those were already difficult to find, right? And now they're going to be even harder to find when nobody's using them. You're not going to be able to find a good breakout box. You're not going to be able to find an unscratched headset that hasn't been run over by Adam's Saturn View or whatever it was. This is the issue. This is the thing that terrifies me is even if I don't want to play these games now, 2-3 years down the road, I'm going to think, dang, it'd be so nice just to like play that game again. Res Infinite. I bought a physical copy of it so I can play it when I want. Now I can't touch it because I got rid of my PSVR 1 headset. Sure, it's cumbersome. It's annoying to set up, but man, I don't want to lose access to those. Adam, what are you going to do if you want to play Battlezone again and it's not ported over? What are you going to do? I'm going to play it. I'll be here for you. I will be your hero, baby. PSVR one's going to be hard to find in a couple of years, and it's not gonna come back. It's not gonna come back. And if money's the issue, it's going to be worth a pretty penny. 3 years from now, selling a good condition PSVR one, you're going to make a mint off of it.
The thing is, I don't believe this at all. I see the argument. If you had a sealed PSVR, now maybe we're talking, because there's collectors, they want the sealed versions, but you don't have a sealed version. You aren't keeping this to hoard to make money. If you won't sell it now, you're not going to sell it in the future. And I truly believe people aren't going to want this, because, like, I can't imagine 3 years down the road someone, like, why would you want a PSVR? I don't see it.
I mean, I just gave you the reason.
You literally, before we went live, you looked and you were like, "Oh, that destroys my argument," because they're everywhere.
They're everywhere now, but they won't be. I mean, this is what happens. Look at like the N-Gage. I got an N-Gage when it was super cheap. Now they're hard to find. I got a PS Vita TV when they were super cheap. Now they're hard to find. These are things that people end up wanting at some point. They don't capitalize when they're being liquidated. Virtual Boy. I got a Virtual Boy for $30. Now they're hard to find. And especially hardware that has specialized components. Those are going to be hard to find now too. I mean, you can get a 32X, whatever, that's cheap. Getting a 32X with the proper components to adapt it to your Genesis, that's a pain in the butt. And people want the authentic experience. They want to play like they did in 2015. And keeping your PSVR 1 around in a little tiny box. Here's what we need to do, Adam. We need to make cardboard boxes that are going to hold everything and sell those so people can pack up their PSVR 1 and keep it safe. Notch that, Sony. Listen to this. I got your business on lockdown. I'll be your head of legacy consoles if you will just throw me a bone here.
If that's your sole meaning, then why not sell it now? Wait for the value to just plummet, which you know it's going to once the VR2 comes out, and then buy it for $20 and then keep it.
Because I know that mine is in good condition. I don't know that Joe Blow letting every single kid running through his house play it with their sticky fingers and their busted batteries and the Move controller and their scratched up camera and busted lenses. I don't know that they haven't run over it with their Saturn Vue. I know that mine's in good condition. I know it's going to work if I box it up and use it 3 years from now. That's why I don't want to risk it, man. I'm not going to get a headset of my quality ever again.
Okay, so moving on to my second argument is that my big question is, when are you, in what scenario are you actually going to play the PSVR? And so think about this. You know what? Let's say it's May 2023. Heck, say it's May 2024. You have a state-of-the-art PlayStation 5. You have the PlayStation Virtual Reality 2. You have the newest, the most updated technology, the most immersive experience on the market in the entire world right there in your living room. And the biggest thing, the biggest crutch for everybody, Alex, whether it be your mom's crow's feet or your man boobs, time. Alex, you know this better than anybody. You finish at best 15% of the games that you purchase. There isn't a dang sales segment that goes by where you didn't say, "Oh, I bought it, haven't played it." They're one of the, unequivocally, the top 5 PSVR games. Astrobot Rescue Mission, right here. You started, you haven't finished it. It's one of the best games for the whole console, and there's nothing to play now, and you still haven't finished it. Think about it. You have a PS5. You're going to have a PSVR2. You're going to have a Steam Deck. You're going to have the other virtual consoles or whatever the heck else. You're going to have your PP. You don't have time to play with them all, Alex. You don't have time for the PSVR. It's not just you, it's everybody. You have to prioritize. And when you have this new technology and you have all these things you paid for that are just simply better, you don't have time to play the PSVR. And it's not only that you don't have time, but you won't make time because you shouldn't. I'm not arguing that you should, but that is why you need to appreciate the time you've had with the PSVR. You need to love it, but it's time to let go.
Adam, I'm sorry, but you've embarrassed yourself a bit there, mate, by saying May 2023, May 2024. How many games are going to be out May 2023 for PSVR2, you think? Six?
Enough that you're not
10?
gonna want to play PSVR Firewall Ultra,
There's not
Resident
gonna
Evil,
there's not
Horizon,
hold on, no.
Star Wars 2.
There's not gonna be 30 games for it. In
Will be 30, but
May 2023, we're gonna have May days, baby. And I'm gonna be ready to keep the viewers entertained for May days of 2023. But aside from that, the other key element here is making time, right? I need to make time. What better way to make time? And I'm already do this. Make time to play PSVR2 by putting my kid in PSVR1 and having them do their thing on PSVR1 so I don't have to watch them.
You have two PS5s? I guess you got PS4. Did you keep the PS4?
There we go, baby.
Of course you kept the
Of course
PS4.
I did. Of course I did.
They
Put my
won't
kid...
play. You've tried to get them to play. They don't like it.
No, my daughter every day asks me, "Hey, can I play some VR?" And I'm like, "No, go to bed. I need to get ready for a podcast, all right?" I know I haven't seen you all weekend, but it's time for you to sleep. I need to talk to Adam about why I'm keeping PSVR 1 for you, all right? This is your inheritance. But seriously, yeah, I don't have time to play all these games I want to, but I do somehow find time to go back and play games. As you mentioned, there's games I still want to beat, right? I still want to beat Blood and Truth. I still want to beat Astrobot, and maybe I'll do that now. Maybe that's what I'm going to do leading up to PSVR 2 coming out, but in case I don't, I might still want to go back and tackle those. I'm a guy with a huge backlog, and I love going back every once in a while and just kind of breezing through some games and seeing if it holds up and stuff like that. And I'll find the time. I'll take time away from the new games. Maybe all the new games of PSVR 2 is going to suck. I want to go back to PSVR 1 and live the glory days.
Ludicrous. Okay, what's your second argument here?
My second one is that, say you do want to go back and play some of these old games, which apparently you don't want to because you're forgetting a key element. We have special controllers that aren't going to work on PSVR 2, even if the games you love get ported. Some games aren't going to get ported. I want to play Farpoint one day. You know, Farpoint was a wonderful experience for the first time you play it. Give me enough time to forget how that went, and I want to dive back in and go through that single player in a couple of nights, or maybe one night. It's not super long, and I want to do it with the aim controller. I want to do Doom with the aim controller. I want to reinitialize my hate for Firewall by trying to play that with the aim controller. I want to see why Bravo Team sucked again with the aim controller. The special controllers, the move controllers, you know, I need to keep those. Some games aren't going to get ported. I need move controllers to play them. So if I don't keep PSVR 1, I don't get to play those games again. You got to keep it around. DualShock, you know, Moss was really fun because it followed that light bar. A lot of these games use the light bar. You can't play them on PS5 unless you have a PS4 controller. So there's a reason to keep this crap around, and I'm going to keep it around so I can dive back in and play them. I mean, it's kind of the same as the underlying point. I want to go back and play these old games. I got the special equipment. Even if I could buy a PSVR 1 again easily in the future, am I going to be able to find a good aim controller? Am I going to be able to find a good DualShock 4 or a good set of move controllers? I don't think so. And I got to keep those around. And that's a reason, even if games get ported, you need the PSVR 1.
Well, you got one thing right. When you're saying, do I want to play this crap again? You're right. It is crap. And that's perfect, which leads me to my third point. Think about it. PSVR 2, dude, it's not just better graphics. It is a better overall experience. It's everything. It's the haptic feedback. It's the eye tracking. It's looking at your play area. It's using the better controllers. It's the foveated rendering. It's the 4K HDR. It is going to be so, and again, I'll admit, I'm an optimist. You are somewhat maybe a bit more of a pessimist on some of this stuff, but in my mind right now, I am holding out that it is in every way going to be so much better, and it is going to make you forget about the PSVR. It's very, and I know you're going to argue this, but I think for the listeners, for the majority of us, it is very difficult, other than for nostalgic value, to go back in time. So I know you're a handheld guy, Alex, so I'm going to try to get on your level. It's like the original Game Boy. Great system. System seller, amazing. It revolutionized the video game industry. And, you know, people loved it. It was great, but it was pretty basic. And that's what the PSVR is. It's the first generation of something. It's brand new. It's definitely cool. But now we're having a new technology. And the jump in technology here is, and I'm taking a bit of a liberty. I'm going to say that PSVR to Game Boy is PSVR2 to like Game Boy Advance SP, where you have better ergonomics, you've got better technology, you've got the better controls, more buttons, you've got the backlight. It's very difficult to go from Game Boy Advance SP back to Game Boy because it's one color, there's no backlight, it's really awkward to hold the thing. You can appreciate and love that first thing, but I know very few people go, oh, I don't, screw the SP, I don't want to play on that, I want to play on the Game Boy. It's not going to happen. Play on the newer system that is better in every single way. It is going to create an immersive experience you will have never experienced in your life. Imagine Little Star in PSVR. What more? What more? That's it. That's the argument.
Little Star 2. We're looking for Little Star 2, right?
Little Star 2, the podcast.
Little Star 2, the podcast. You'll look for it on Gaming's in Session. Yeah, you're not finding it here. No, that's a good point. But although you kind of underwhelmed your point, Adam, by in the background having not one but two references to the Nintendo NES console itself, as if that still holds some value to you.
Because it's Legos. Look, if I turn it, the little Mario moves. It's cool.
But that's what I'm saying is that you can go home again. I mean, granted,
this is having something that resembles. I don't have an NES. I don't play NES. I don't want to play NES. This is just for show, man.
Okay. All right. I mean, I understand that. Like, I'm imagining the situation of like getting used to PSVR2 and a year later saying I'm going to set up my PSVR1 and being like, oh, this damn camera. I forgot about this these damn move controllers.
Mm-hmm.
They're floating around everywhere.
I can't throw the football in NFL Pro era. It doesn't work well.
I'm never playing a football game. I'm never playing a football game in VR. I'll say it right now. I'll say it loud and clear because I want to play my games on PSVR1. So I'm not going to play a game that has bad tracking. No, that's a valid point. But I will say this, Adam, and we're seeing it with the PlayStation 3 now that we have the PlayStation Plus Classics. And this brings me to my third point, is that PlayStation Plus is a new frontier, right? You're getting loads of free games. You're getting a loaded back catalog of free games all the time. And I have a feeling that here's the thing. Here's what ends up landing on PS Plus. All the first party games, yeah, they want that. But it's where games go to die. It's that last gasp that a publisher does to try to monetize a bit of their game. So if there's any games that you don't have for PSVR1, they're going to land on PS Plus probably at some point because by virtue of being on PSVR, they're exclusive. They want to make a little bit of money off those still. And what better way than to make it free and open it up to everybody? So maybe for that first year or so after PSVR2 is out, you're going to be seeing these games on PS Plus, I bet, and they're going to be available for you. And maybe there's a game that you wanted to play. You just wanted to see what it was like, and now there's no risk involved. PS Plus is going to be there for you. If you don't have the hardware, you can't capitalize on these new free games that are coming out for you. But there's still new games coming out on the PlayStation VR1. And let me just go through a quick list here. I pulled up the PlayStation Store. We got Cave Digger 2, you just mentioned. We got the NFL era game coming out.
Crap.
Transformers Beyond Reality, of course. Stride, a game that's really fun. Lucky's Tale, that was a winner. It just came out on PSVR. Dragon Ride VR, who knows? Sam and Max, a really wonderful franchise on PSVR finally. Still getting updates for Synth Rider, still getting updates for Beat Saber, still getting updates for Audica. I love that. Shadowpoint, Moss 2, Zenith MMO, Wanderer. This is a ton of games still coming out, and they're still going to keep coming out. I don't have time to play them all now. I'm not going to have time to play. What is this game, Baby Hands? I want to know what that is. If I get rid of my PSVR1, I'm not going to get a chance to do that. So there's still a lot of content out there to play, a lot of content out there to enjoy. And if I get rid of my PSVR1 prematurely, I'm never going to have a chance to figure out what was there. Maybe there's a hidden gem there that nobody talked about, and I want to be there to be the guy talking about it. That's what's going to put our channel on the map, Adam, and that's what's going to keep me horned up for PSVR.
It's ludicrous that you think you're never going to have time. You're never, and all those games you just said suck, with the exception of like maybe 3 of them. The thing is, I'm glad that you made this very easy. Check your butt crack, Alex, because it's clean. Because I wiped you clean, buddy. We'll let Scott decide who won this, and then the winner will take him on head to head. And I can't wait to battle him again because he got me last time, but this time I'm going to get him good. But I think it's time to talk about some sales. All these great games that you think we should keep the PSVR for so we can play them.
Yeah, we have a handful of sales actually. I think you just bought a couple of games, but we're going to go through the sales here. Little caveat: these end September 29th, so should have this episode out in a couple of days. It'll give you a couple hot days to capitalize on these sales. Putting the pressure on Adam to make sure this comes out like tomorrow or something, but we'll see. Okay, Adam. Right off the bat, we have Lethal VR, 80% discount. Talk about $2.99. Yay or nay?
That's gonna go in the PSVR2 fund.
Okay. VR ping pong, $2.99.
This is what we should. I should all the games you would buy that I wouldn't. We should have a PSVR2 fund and see by the time it releases, have I saved enough money on crap games to just buy the PSVR2?
Yeah, fair enough.
It would be tough to keep track of it, but I think it would be close. But no, wait, what was the second game you just said?
VR ping pong for $2.99.
No, there's no one. No one plays it. It would be you're playing with yourself. Just stick your hands in your pocket at that point.
I think this is the cheapest version of this one. Tekken 7 Originals Edition, $19.99.
No.
Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration, $5.99.
Can you look down at your breasts? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Arizona Sunshine Deluxe Edition, $8.99.
Maybe one of the worst games I've still played on VR. It's so bad.
I beat that one. I beat that one and the DLC. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, we beat the DLC together and it still sucked.
Also playable on the aim controller. Another reason to keep PSVR1. VR Ping Pong Pro, $4.99.
It could be like what is that stupid thing? VR ping pong. What are the people? Voyagers edition, where people like creep on people and take videos
Voyeur edition.
Voyeur edition. I still wouldn't buy it. It sucks. I'm not buying it.
All right. How about Carnival Games VR, $4.99?
Dude, I'd rather go to a real carnival. Like, no, I know you thought it was a cute little game, but it's stupid.
You're thinking of that like arcade game. This is a different game, but anyway, I've heard good things about this, like the climbing game. I do need to play it. My kids would probably love it. A great reason to keep PSVR1 so I can have them play this. Prey Digital Deluxe Edition. So that I'm assuming that includes the VR multiplayer component that I'm never going to get to play because you're never going to buy it. $9.99.
Wait, you have it?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
No, because I have nobody to play it with.
I knew it. I'm telling you, you suck. I mean, this isn't awful. I would need to see reviews. The thing is, you never bought Cave Digger. I can't trust on you to have time to play the game, otherwise I'd buy it. So
I was hoping you'd give it a good review, and they'd be like, "Thank you for the great review. Here's some codes," and then they'd give me one. But you were so critical in your criticism that they said we need to stay away from these guys. So I blame you. Star Wars Squadrons for $9.99.
I'm gonna wait for Star Wars 2 on PSVR2.
No, you're not. Mask Maker $4.99.
No.
Werewolves Within Pansexual Edition $5.99.
Dude, the thing is, it's a fun game. I don't know if they still do the Werewolves Within Wednesdays or not. I just can't do it.
Imagine you definitely could find a game. Would you get it for $5.99?
No, because you could find a physical edition for like pennies on the dollar. You can find it real cheap.
But then you got it. But here's the issue, right? You would have to get a physical edition. That presupposes you have a PS5 with a disc drive. Like there's so much on top of that. If you get it digital, don't worry about it. Just plug in your PSVR and go. Adam, that game is Maydays as hell. We gotta play Maydays with that one.
It really is.
Mortal Blitz, $5.99.
It's not a bad game. Big. You got big movies in the game.
She's got junk in the trunk too. Don't look over that.
Oh, I didn't look back. Man, that's right on the edge. If you get it, I won't make fun of you, but I don't know if I would reach necessarily for it either.
Okay. Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown Top Gun Edition. Here's the thing, it's the 3 levels from Ace Combat 4 that are in VR, which is awesome, but 26, 24, that's the price. I don't think it's going to be worth it, right? Yeah. I wish you could just buy the VR part for
The
like
VR part
$3.
sucks. You let me play. It was garbage. Horrible.
I hate you, Adam. All right, Adam, here we go. There's this game, Demo Reborn. I think it's some kind of rhythm game. I never played it. People seem to like it. We have a bunch of different song packs for it for $1.99. Is there any world where and you'd be like, yeah, let me buy that song pack for $2?
No, no.
Okay, there goes half of the sales right there. Borderlands 2 VR for $19.99.
The thing is, like, if you like Borderlands, I think it's actually pretty good. I'm just not a fan of Borderlands. I don't know what it is about it. It's not my type of game.
Yeah,
So
it's really good in VR with the aim controller too, and it does the move controller as well too. I think it's great. Dreams $7.99.
that's the one. So I did purchase 3 games this week. That's the one I didn't quite buy, but it's tempting because now everyone's already made all of the cool content. So
Yeah, it's
you
just
could
there to
go and just
consume.
have
Yeah,
a field day.
yeah.
There's probably not going to be much new being made,
No, they're
but
still making awesome stuff. There's an awesome Jurassic Park game somebody made
oh, nice.
in VR. So I think that's going to have legs for a while, hopefully. All right. Disaster Report 4 Summer Memories $23.99.
$24 at what's it normally go for?
$59.99. That's a full game. Yeah, it's got a VR
Oh,
component to it.
oh, F that. No.
All right. How about the 2K VR NBA 2K VR experience? $7.49.
It's an experience. No.
Astrobot Rescue Mission for $10.
Gosh, it really is. It is one of the top games in the PSVR. I don't know if that's a good price. I would have to look at the physical editions to see how much those are, but I would either get that or the physical edition, whichever is cheaper.
All right. Carnival Games VR Alley Adventure, which sounds kind of erotic. $3.99.
Take me to the back alley.
Yeah, back alley with a carny. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, no, I'm not buying that.
Monster of the Deep Final Fantasy 15, $15.
The thing is, it's a real good game, but they will not break off that $15 price point. This whole time I said, give it $10 and I'll say buy it. They won't do it. I don't know what their problem is.
That's going to be a PS Plus game, and you're going to miss out, man. Blood and Truth for $19.99. Still $19.99.
Well, first, I already have Monsters of the Deep. I don't have Blood and Truth, and I'm definitely not buying it for $20. I can tell you that.
How about Iron Man VR for $20?
No. I played the demo. It was awesome.
No. How about LA Noire, the VR case files for $14.99?
No, I will create a stir, and you'll have a real life crime to investigate.
Create a stir. Firewall 0 Hour Digital Deluxe Edition, $19.99.
Oh, I would rather suck the bulb and my motion controller is clean than play that turd.
Please make a video for that. Make a YouTube short for that. You just polishing off one of those things. Blair Witch VR for $19.49.
I like scary games. Dang, October is coming up. I still feel like it's a little expensive.
How about Minecraft Dragon Pack for $14.99?
No.
I don't even know what that is. Mortal Blitz has a multiplayer thing that's free on PlayStation Plus. Just throw that out there. And I do want to say there are 2 free songs apparently added to Audica. Long Run by Houseman and Jenny Rudolph featuring Liz. And I Was Awake, Pre-Existing Condition edition. Free.
I remember how that one went. Oh no, I am awake. Stop. I am awake. Stop. I am awake. Stop. I mean, it's a real good tune. But here, is that it for the sale?
That's it for the sale.
The thing is, we thank you folks for listening to Play PSVR2, the podcast. We hope you had a good time. We sure did. Remember, sell your PSVR while you can get the most for it. drop us a comment on who you thought won and who should take on Scott in the next Master Debater. And as always, thank you again. This is Play PSVR2, the podcast where virtual reality is our reality.